the franchise player who dragged Dallas to the mountaintop of June basketball, the prodigy who turned late nights in Slovenia into mythic mornings in Texas, was jolted awake by a ringing phone and a future rewritten. A midnight call, a stunned silence, and a single decision that unraveled years of momentum in one sweep. Dallas didn't negotiate a soft landing or open a public bidding war. They didn't test the market for a generational scorer built for the brightest lights. They handed away the most unstoppable young engine in the sport and convinced themselves they were buying certainty. In that moment, the Mavericks traded inevitability for hope, swapped a storm for a forecast, and told their fans to trust a blueprint that collapsed before the ink dried. The league had seen shocking trades before, but this one felt like a crack of thunder that didn't stop echoing. What came next in Los Angeles looked less like an onboarding and more like ignition. A new jersey, a new arena, the same breathtaking orchestration. The ball settled into Luka's hands and the Lakers' offense snapped into shape like it had been waiting on him all along. The pace steadied, the space widened, and possessions turned into chess problems with only one correct answer. 40 in a flash, 40 again with gravity rising at the elbow, 40 more with step-backs that bent defenders until the angles gave way. The numbers piled up like dominoes. Points, rebounds, assists, steals, each line a receipt of control, each night another lesson in inevitability. This wasn't a cameo, it was a takeover. His presence alone changed the geometry of the court and the psychology of the conference. Shooters breathed easier. Bigs ate cleaner. Role players played like themselves because the game slowed down around them. The Lakers didn't just acquire a scorer, they acquired a system that lives inside one man. Meanwhile, Dallas tried to talk itself into a new identity, telling the world that defense wins and that structure cures. But structure is a promise and superstardom is a guarantee. The moment the ball went up, reality pushed back. Half-court sets grew heavier, the floor narrowed, and close games became coin flips without a closer. The irony was cruel. The player they deemed too fragile became a metronome in purple and gold, while the piece they believed would steady the present kept slipping out of the lineup. The standings don't care about intentions. The locker room doesn't rally around theory. Fans keep receipts. A season that was meant to validate a philosophy instead exposed its soft underbelly, and the arena that once felt like a furnace turned into a museum of what-ifs. Luka didn't crow. He didn't frame the trade as a crusade. He called Dallas home and then started laying down masterpieces in Los Angeles. That restraint made the damage feel even sharper. Every monster night read like a calm rebuttal. Every avalanche quarter reminded the league how rare it is to find a player who bends time inside a possession. He can turn a broken play into a runway, a stagnant set into a layup, a mismatch into a math problem the defense cannot solve. When teams blitzed, he probed. When they switched, he punished. When they dropped, he walked into rhythm and pulled the rope. The Lakers' shot profile modernized, their decision tree simplified, and their late-game confidence hardened. This was the transformation front offices dream of when they talk about a franchise pillar. This was why you roll the dice for the decade, not the month. From the sidelines in LA, the old face of the franchise watched with a kind of proud distance. The baton passing didn't require a declaration. The game itself handled the ceremony. The Lakers' identity no longer orbited around a single aging clock. It stretched forward, elastic and alive, anchored by a star whose peak is still rising. That shift freed the role players to be specialists instead of saviors. It sharpened a coach's voice. It turned October into a runway and April into a destination. And it told every rival in the West that the margin for error just shrank. Back in Dallas, the timeline fractured. A prospect with limitless ceiling arrived as a symbol and a lifeline, and the city did what cities always do. It dreamed. But the dream sat in the shadow of an irreversible choice. You can sell a vision, teach a system, cultivate patience. You cannot replace inevitability. Not with a culture statement, not with an exhortation about grit, not with slogans about the future. The league moves too fast and memories last too long. A draft night miracle only becomes a dynasty when it grows next to the right star. Dallas had that star and gave him away at 25. The most damning part wasn't the discourse or the headlines or the jeers on the road. It was the calm, methodical way Luka turned the Lakers into what Dallas hoped to be. The offense hummed at a higher frequency, threes flew with purpose, and late-game execution looked premeditated. He didn't need theatrics to lead. He needed the ball, the clock, and 5 reads that he always seemed to make a beat sooner than anyone else on the floor. In Los Angeles, the numbers became stories, and the stories became momentum. Nights at crypto felt like premieres. Opponents showed up prepared and left corrected, and the standings treated the Lakers like a truth, not a trend. This is how curses begin, not with superstition, but with the stubbornness of hindsight. A franchise talks itself into a safer road and finds potholes where the pavement should be. Another franchise embraces the storm and discovers its weatherproofing was always built into the star they acquired. The two paths diverge, and every highlight becomes a reminder. The calendar turns, and the pressure mounts on the team that bet against inevitability, while the team that bet on it starts counting the ways it can build around certainty. There is no villain here, only consequence. Talent is compassionate to no one. It rewards conviction and punishes doubt, and the box score is its closing argument. What makes this episode feel larger than a trade is how cleanly it reframed two organizations. The Lakers are a present tense contender with a long runway and a leader who doesn't need narrative oxygen to breathe. Dallas is rebuilding on the fly, asking youth to learn speed limits on a freeway. One future is planned. The other is pending. And the league, which rarely pauses for regret, has already begun to treat the decision like a cautionary tale. If you are lucky enough to hold a player who bends the sport to his will, you don't shop him for balance. You build the balance around him. You don't chase certainty by giving away inevitability. You let inevitability define you. The echoes will last. Every banner ceremony in Los Angeles will feel louder because of the silence that preceded it. Every hot night in Dallas from a new hope will spark excitement, and then quietly, comparison. And Luka, who never asked for any of this, will keep doing the one thing no front office can defend against, turning possession after possession into proof that the simplest answers were always the right ones. Sometimes a decision doesn't just change a season, it changes a map. This one redrew an entire coastline. What do you think? Did Dallas surrender a dynasty before it began? Or will their bet on structure finally pay off in the long run? Can the Lakers ride Luka's inevitability all the way to banner number 18 this year, or should they add one more piece at the deadline to seal it? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like if this breakdown hit the spot, and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss the next deep dive into the moments that reshape the NBA.